She done gone and did it again, y'all. I promise this time I'm gonna stick with this for a little while. Y'all won't get a different person next week. Promise. Shift Talk Sunday. Let's get into it. Hey, happy Sunday. I never know how to start these. Once it hits down to one, I literally don't know what to say. I'm gonna get there, okay? So hey was all I had. But welcome to another Shift Talk Sunday. If you have been here before, welcome back. You already know who I am. You already know what I'm about. Go ahead and take a seat and listen on up. If you have never been here before, then let me address you really quickly, okay? If this is your first time stumbling across Shamar Latanya, this is for Shift Talk Sunday. Shamar Latanya, the whole vibe, the whole creation, all of this is for that person that is simply unique. You have a unique voice, a unique spirit, a unique mindset, a unique way of moving. You question. You don't go with the flow. You are not ride or die. You are, I'm going to ask some questions. Why we got to ride? Why we got to die? Why we got to go that way? Who all going to be there? You are just incredibly unique. And here's the thing. I think that we all are unique in our own ways. But you are the type of unique that doesn't fit in anywhere, it feels like. You are the type of unique who feels like you are always on the outside of something. You are the type of unique that feels like no matter where you go, you're just not understood. And because of that, you don't always feel welcomed. You're not always welcomed. You are always in this space where I kind of have to sit in the back of the church or in the back of the building or in the back of the event because nobody gets me. You are the person where other people who have been like, oh, well, if you feel misunderstood, that's all, you ain't got nothing to do with us. And they would be right. But you are that type of person who deals with those kind of people bucking up against you like that all the time. And you often feel invalidated. And you often feel like there's something wrong with you. And if you don't feel like that, you might be okay in your uniqueness, but you might be thinking every once in a while, where is there a space for me? You know, am I just going to walk this earth not fitting in anywhere, not being a part of anything, not feeling like anyone understands me? Like, where is my safe space other than the one I've created for myself? I still say that to this day sometimes. So what I would say to you is, this is your safe space. Like, welcome, pull up a chair, grab some food. Around here, we like to put, I'm never going to do that. We like to put our feet up. We like to make it very well known that we're flawed. These will not be the cookie cutter perfect videos. Last week I had a speech impediment. That my speech impediment came out. I left it in because I want you all to see what's really going on. But this is your safe space. I understand you because I am you. And I got really passionate when people always come at people that are like, oh, well, that's your problem. I get it. Just don't talk to me then. Oh, I'm so serious about that. Like, when people are like, oh, wow, I don't feel like I really fit in anywhere. I don't feel like this is, I don't feel like I'm wanted here or fit in here. And people are like, well, that's your problem. Okay, then don't speak to me anymore. You didn't even need to tell me that was my problem, in all honesty. You could have just kept it pushing. Y'all know, we know what that's like. And there will always be someone that will say that to you. I will not say that to you. I'm going to just say, welcome. All right, so let's get into this. A few things. If you are new here, I always have notes. So when you see me looking down and looking around, I'm looking at notes. I'm checking the camera. I'm checking the microphone. I also do not always believe in a lot of jump cuts in the video. I really do try to go all the way through because too many of us believe in perfection. And so we won't do anything or do the next thing because we want it to be perfect. And perfection just does not exist. So, like I said, last week, I may just cut to get some water because talking like this is a lot. But last week, my speech impediment did come out. I could have easily cut that, restarted it. I left it in there because I wanted you all to see that these finished products are finished products. I want you all to see the process. This week, my allergies are a mess. Like, I am going to be sniffling a lot. Please forgive me. Well, probably not, but I'm going to try and limit it. But, if I had let my allergies get the best of me, we wouldn't have a Shift Talk Sunday this week. And that's not enough to not have a Ship Talk Sunday. So, and I want you to understand that you don't have to be perfect to move forward. Many people will make you think you do. Many people I find are really great at putting on this air of perfection. They sit right, they cross their legs right, they dress right, and behind the scenes they're a mess. Look, y'all gonna get all of it right here and here, okay? Because A, I ain't got time to be exposed, and B, I'm gonna just do it myself, okay? So, welcome to Ship Talk Sunday. This Ship Talk Sunday, we have talked about so many different topics, and there are about 33 more topics in queue. Some of them have been really heavy. The one on suicide, you can go back and watch that. I cried throughout the entire video. That was a lot of jump cuts because I had to stop and get myself together. Makeup was just, no, my makeup actually looked dope. But, and the past couple Sundays have been a little bit lighter. And this Sunday, we are talking about having the audacity. We're talking about, it's the audacity for me. And I really want to talk about this because when we think about audacity, listen, I do not man bash on any of my platforms, on any of my videos. I do not bash men. I don't even actually touch on the topic of dating and my horrible experiences. I just refuse to, because there's too much of that happening on social media right now. I just can't. But when I think about the negative connotation of audacity, I often think about dating. How many of us have dated someone that has just had the audacity to act a fool when you ain't got no reason to be acting like, why would you do that? Like, who are you even to be acting this way? A lot of us have dealt with dates where it's just like, yo, are you serious right now? You think you putting it like that to act like that and think that's okay? Or we have said to our kids, you have your audacity to do that and then turn around and ask me for something. When we think of audacity, we go there because that's been our experience with audacity. However, I really want to touch on the different part of audacity. Like, if you Google the definition of audacity, and I did, you all know I love my definitions, because when you understand a word, you know how to apply a word. Come on, Holy Ghost. That's for a different video. But if you Google the definition of audacity and you pull up the definition, there are two definitions for it. The negative one comes second. The positive one comes first, and that's the one that we're going to talk about. It's the audacity for me. Okay, so you know how I do with my notes. But before I get into the connection, the definition of audacity is a willingness to take bold risks. That was the first definition of audacity that came up. A willingness to take bold risks. I've learned that when I look back over my life, I feel like I've always had the audacity. I have never quite felt understood. And sometimes they say to you, oh, well, if you always feel misunderstood everywhere you go, then you are the problem. I'm going to challenge that a little bit, and I'm going to ask you to think differently. If you always feel like you don't fit in somewhere, you are not the problem. You are just unique. Period. So I always feel like that I've had I don't think there was ever a time where I didn't have the audacity. Even when I try and play it safe, that lasts only for a little bit before I'm out here rocking boats again, feel me? And knocking down boxes, feel me? So I feel like I've always had the audacity. And because of that, I feel like I've always been very misunderstood. I don't think, knowing what I know now, and being where I am now, and becoming one with myself and my spirit and who God made me to be, I think back over the course of my life, like that old gospel song, when I look back over my life. But when I look back over my life, I think that I just have always had the audacity. I've always been ready and willing to take these bold risks. And that has left me often misunderstood. And I find that I'm looking at my notes, and I find that people who have always been willing to take bold risks, whether they're big or small, are those that are often misunderstood. Because this world really does teach you to kind of go with the flow of everything that's happening. Here's the funny thing. Growing up in the church, becoming a PK, I have been in many of churches, right? And on one hand, we're taught to push against the world system, right? We're taught to, the world system does one thing, God's people do another. And I still believe that. I believe 100% that that is true. However, within that system, and I'm trying to figure out, and I want to make sure I'm wording this the right way. Within that system of church, we are not taught to be different. There is a style of dress that's expected. There is even the way you speak that's expected. Oh, she speaks with power. That's so exhausting. Like, okay, I'm walking into church. Let me get the right voice together so I can speak with some power and make God happy. Like, when you get on the altar and you're preaching, there is a style of preaching that everyone loves. I preach like this, and you're gonna be fine with it. If you don't like it, okay, do what you gotta do. Take my papers, all that good stuff. I can only be me at the end of the day. But I find that, there is a system within that system, and when you don't fit that mold, it's almost like this unspoken. Actually, no, it wasn't unspoken. I have heard things like, oh, she ain't got no power. Or, she's nice and all, but I really don't think I can get with her. I really don't think, that she's fit to lead. I've heard all kinds of stuff. And still leading. And if I don't ever, and it's funny, because of the way I am, if I don't lead within church, I'm going to lead somewhere, because that's what my life has ordained to be. And when you are someone that has the audacity to be yourself at all times, you have to understand that when you don't fit one place, you will fit somewhere. God will place you wherever he needs you to be, wherever he needs to use you. That's not even in my notes. So I don't know who that was for. I honestly don't, because that is nowhere in my notes. But baby, this is where we are. We follow the Holy Spirit around here, okay? So if it's not in my notes, I'm going to say it. But let me go back to that. When you have that audacity, you don't think like everyone else. You don't move like everyone else. It's almost like when you walk in the room, you are just different. What was that old saying? Like, you stick out like a sore thumb, okay? That's what having the audacity is. And I also find that especially prevalent when we are dealing with family. I think that, there are systems within systems, but for the most part, when I'm maneuvering within the world, when I'm out dealing, when I'm out doing mentoring and coaching and working with women and setting up organizations, for the most part, my way of thinking and who I am is widely accepted. There are some cliques around here that do not really deal with me because they've made up their own mind about me based on whatever it is that they feel like they have. So I have noticed that there are groups of people that will not deal with me. That is not my problem, though. They are not my people then. But for the most part, I'm pretty widely accepted. I can make some moves now. But I find that we often it's like a wall that we hit with family, right? Because when you're born, family has an idea of who they want you to be. And I don't think it's ill-intentioned. I don't think it is, I think that, we always want our kids to be better than us. So we have this idea of who we want them to grow up into and who we want them to be. And so we do that. We guide them in that. And when they become the exact opposite of what we thought, it's like, wait a second, there's something wrong with them, clearly. This is not who I wanted them to be or how I wanted them. They're not wanted them to think. They're not responding in the way I would want them to respond. So I think that we often buck up against this with family, especially if you are in the Black family. There's just so many cultural norms that, if you don't fit into that, it's like, what's wrong with her? Or, that's he weird. He on that weird stuff. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. My brother has heard it all, growing up a Black kid who loved anime and Japanese culture. He's heard it all, and he's had to deal with it all. And what I love about my brother is he has the actual, his audacity is high. You can call him whatever you want. He gonna be who he is. He's legit never changing. He don't care what you say. And I think about my own daughter. My own daughter is very different from me. She is more calculated. She's so mature. She's an old soul. She moves different. She responds differently. And I have raised her. But the one thing I've learned is, if I have had the audacity to be who I am, no matter what, and to go for what I want in my own way, even if it didn't make sense to anyone else, then I want her to have the audacity to do that as well. So I like to think that I don't make decisions for her. I guide her into the decisions that she can make for herself. And these days, she's 19. She doesn't always need me to guide her into these decisions. She knows how to make healthy choices on her own. And I like to think that I've empowered her to know that she can make those choices, live that life the way she wants to live, as long as she's healthy, happy, and she's spiritually, stable and grounded. And to have the audacity to be a Black girl who is she gives very much Freddie from a different world. Into nature, into natural things, natural hair, natural products. She's studying environmental science. So in her sense, because she's had the audacity to always be herself, ask for what fits for her, she never fit in. And it was a gift and a curse. She never fit in at all. When she got to college, she found her people. But she spent about 18 years of her life just never fitting in. High school was very difficult for her because she never fit in. But here's where we have the audacity. We have the audacity to look at that and see that we're not fitting in and not care. And still be who we are, even though it means we spend a lot of time alone. When I say I want you to begin to have the audacity, I like to believe that I've always had the audacity to think big, dream big. I mean, my imagination is crazy. Like, it's out of this world. And I know that what I say in my head, when I say it out of my mouth, it doesn't make sense, but it's going to get done some kind of way. So when I say that you have the audacity, I'm not talking about just the bold risks of whatever decisions you're making. The bold risk of leaning into how unique you are, leaning into your different kind of thought pattern, leaning into your different spirit, and really cultivating that. Because when you can lean into that in a healthy way, when you can have that audacity to say, forget the world and its system and structures. Forget what this organization thinks I should be doing. Forget what this sphere of this sphere that I'm in of my gifting, whether it's entertainment, books, tech, whatever it is that you are gifted in doing. Forget what the norm is. I'm literally going to be myself, and we're going to do this my way. That audacity. That's what I mean when I say have the audacity. Have the actual factual audacity. I think about Jay-Z and Dame Dash. When they were coming up in the game, these fools had nothing, but they had the audacity to walk around like they had everything. They literally were speaking those things that are not as though they are. They would go into parties looking like they had the best. And their vibe was, we've already made it. You just need to get around us. And they had nothing. But because they did that, people begin to think, okay, who are they? I hear, things about Zendaya. Zendaya was doing an interview, and they asked her, how did you transition from Disney into being an adult without going the same way that your counterparts have? She said, I actually had the audacity. I would use fashion. I had the audacity. I would show up to events that I had no business being at. Like, I had no business being there. But I would show up there, and I would look the best, and I would just be there. Later on, and I would get pictured there, and people would talk about me being there, and then later on I had to go back and prove why I deserved to be there. But my girl had the audacity to walk into some place that she had no business being in. That's the audacity that I want you to have. Have the audacity to go into a space that, for all intents and purposes, you have no business being in. Have the audacity to carry a vibe that is different than what your physical world says. My physical world, the bank account says $20, but in the spiritual realm, where it all happens first anyway, my bank account says millions. So I'm going to move that way. I'm going to have the audacity to move that way. Somebody once said to me, you have champagne taste from a Budweiser budget. And I thought, dang, maybe I need to pull back. Are we serious right now? I always know when these are going to be good and impactful because I have tech issues. I'm going to leave it there, though. I'm not going to change it. We're here. I'm going to leave the tech issues there. That's how I know this is going to be good. It's going to help somebody because my computer shut down when it had no business, but it kept recording. So we're going to leave this right here because I want you to know how I push through. So that's the kind of audacity that I want you to have. And I began to think at that time, okay, well, I definitely got to make smarter money decisions. But at the same time, I can't really pull back on the life that I want. It wasn't that I wanted to keep blowing my money. It was that there was a life that I had envisioned myself having that nobody else understood why I had that vision. Do you see where you are? I think I was working in Giant Supermarket. I was working in the bakery of a grocery store. Like, you have your audacity to have these, to want luxury, to want a life of luxury, to want a high-end life. Girl, you work in the bakery. I sure do and do. But I work in the bakery for now. I won't be in the bakery for much longer. Okay? And that's the audacity you have to have. And a lot of times when your world says one thing, but your audacity says another, everyone else looks at you like, oh, you're insane. Okay. Be insane. So there is nothing wrong with audacity. Let me just tell you something. Audacity has been here since the beginning of time. Audacity is biblical. I love doing things like this because somebody in the church, somebody's going to watch and be like, oh my God, well, that's your man. Audacity is biblical. And I find, last week I said, I can only do what I see my Father do. That's what Jesus said, right? I find that God be having the audacity all the time, bro. God been had the audacity, okay? And don't think and do. So we go all the way back to my man Abraham. Had the audacity to believe his physical circumstances was, it's just me and Sarah. We ain't got no kids. We got some livestock, feel me? We got some people that work for us, but we ain't got no heirs, right? But my man had the audacity to believe that they would go from barren to producing a multitude, to producing generations. Audacity and faith go hand in hand. And I would go so far as to say that you have to have the audacity to have big faith that makes no sense. None. Zero. Abraham, she can't have kids. At least that's what it looks like. So what do you mean you're going to go from barren so your descendants would be like the stars in the sky? A child? Okay. And did. I have the audacity to believe that this is my land, but I can move from here, what I know, what I'm comfortable with, and go somewhere I don't know nothing about and still make it. And did. Oh, that was my story, y'all. Literally, like, I got married, I eloped, and I moved somewhere. Little did I know that having the audacity to take that bold risk of getting married. Now, granted, I am divorced, so we know how that went. I may have regretted some of the way I handled it, but I do not regret leaving Maryland. Because once I left Maryland, I became who I needed to become. I found my own way. I found my own voice, and it was what I needed. So it was the audacity for me. All right, let me go back to my notes. You go back to the children of Israel. Okay, they're leaving Egypt. The Exodus has happened. It's time to go. All the plagues that went down. Pharaoh, like, you know what? You and all your peoples, Moses, y'all got to get up out of here. Okay, all the little firstborns and died. Pack your stuff and get out. In my waiting to exhale voice. I know my neighbors be like, yo, she's loud. But, so the children of Israel are leaving Egypt, right? Before they leave, let me go. Actually, I can just go here. Before they leave, after all of these plagues, they have the audacity to request gold and silver from the Egyptians, and did, and got it. Because God gave them favor to receive that. So not only did y'all bring all these plagues to us, it's time for y'all to go. Okay? We sick and tired of y'all. But now you have the audacity to ask for gold and silver and then receive it. Because when you are chosen and favored, you can have the audacity to ask for the best of things. And it will happen, especially if it's in God's will. So they came in there as slaves. To them, they were never really slaves. They were always chosen. You could be walking around thinking you're one thing and not realize that you are chosen. It's another word. It's a good one. That's why I had all these tech issues. So anyway, so they received and they were chosen and they moved forward. And then you get down to, I mean, what else I got here? Okay, I don't want to keep going on and on about this because we could literally be here forever. Again, you can literally go into the Bible. I mean, you have Rahab, who was a whole entire prostitute. Actually, I think I'm skipping ahead, so I'm not gonna go there. Am I skipping ahead? Let me make sure, y'all. Okay, I am skipping ahead. So it is bold, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a risk, but I'm going to do it anyway. And we have gotten to the point where we don't take enough bold risks and bold action, especially when we've been called to something. So audacity has been here since the beginning of time. It's not going anywhere. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I should not have this opportunity, but I'm going to go for it anyway. For all intents and purposes, I should not be in this realm of influence, but I'm going to be here anyway. For all intents and purposes, 5 years ago when I got laid off, I should not have started a successful business and survived, but I did it anyway. I had the audacity to say, you know what? I got 6 months of unemployment. I'm going to hustle this unemployment out. I'm going to make this work. It's going to be aggressive, but we're going to do it. And did. Did I hit some rocky points? Yes. Because having the audacity will have you hitting some rocky points. But did I make it through every last one of them? Sure did. And then had the audacity to walk into a corporate company and say, you know what? I know I came in here for one thing, but I'm a coach. And start making corporate money. And did. I have the audacity to live in joy and peace and harmony. I have the actual audacity to walk this earth like I am royalty. I have the audacity to protect my peace at all costs, even if it makes everyone else around me angry. I have the audacity to do these things because I am a child of the Most High God. I had said it last week. As long as I'm the vine attached to, or the branch attached to the vine. Whew, Jesus, I'm getting out of... Let me calm down. As long as I'm attached to Christ, I'm a child of God, of the Most High God. I have the audacity. You may see something totally different. That's your problem, not mine. But I have the audacity to move in the way that the Spirit will have me move. I have the audacity to tap into the spirit realm and know that I'm this right now, but in the spirit realm, I'm already this. So I'm going to start moving like that. I'm going to start asking for that. And I'm going to start being open to receiving these things. Yeah, I have the audacity to remain open to receiving these things. I have the audacity to want the best. It's a bold risk, but it's one of those risks that you will never, ever, ever regret. It won't always be easy, but you won't regret it. And because you're living like that, you can make these bold risks of starting that business, starting that book, moving to that country, traveling more on your own, taking control of your mental health, taking control of your spiritual health, taking control of your physical health. That's the audacity I want you to have. There's a girl on TikTok that was like, man, be delusional. Be delusional is all get out. So, again, I find that God specializes in the audacity. And as I gave you some proofs earlier, it's giving very much It's giving very much David. It's giving very much, yeah, David, that youngest of all his brothers, being in the back, and Samuel being there, and knowing that Samuel was there. Maybe he didn't. The scriptures don't say, but he didn't come out to meet Samuel, and he stayed right there in the back. He thought he was one thing. God had the audacity to make up something else. I'm gonna stay right here in the back and shepherd these sheep. God was like, yeah, see, I'm gonna have the audacity to take you from the back, pull you to the front, and make you Israel's last greatest earthly king, outside of Jesus. It is giving very much Rahab, a citizen of Jericho, who had the audacity to say, you know what, I know what we be doing, and I know what I be doing, because Rahab was a prostitute. I know what I be doing, but I have the audacity to believe that even though I know what I be doing, I be dropping it like it's hot, okay? I be popping that thing. Even though I know I do that, I have the audacity. Why did I say that? But I have the audacity to believe that if I keep my faith in God, and if I move on that faith, God is gonna move on my behalf. And she wasn't even an Israelite, and sure did. And not only that, but God had the audacity to take this woman who went from popping that thing, dropping like it was hot, but who moved in faith, and putting her in a divine lineage. Like Rahab is in the lineage of Jesus. Okay. And yet you're afraid to make moves. You think you need to be perfect. You're afraid to take bold risks. Child. Okay. She could have died that night. She could have died that night if somebody had found out. But she still did it. Then we have Ruth, a whole entire widow. For all intents and purposes, she's a widow. She ain't supposed to be getting married again. Ruth was like, ooh, not on today. I'ma have the audacity to see this man work with my mother-in-law. Like, for real, the mother-in-law. Her son is dead. And the mother-in-law was like, okay, I know that, but we gonna get this man. And she had the audacity to follow those instructions. She had the audacity to work while she knew that she wanted Boaz. She had the audacity to put those things in motion. As a woman back in them days, as a widow, she really should have stayed a widow. Ruth was like, y'all can stay with it all you want to. Homie got money. She ain't say that, y'all, but I'm just... Anyway, so she had that audacity. And sure enough, she got her man. And sure enough, God had the audacity to take this woman who was a widow and who really should have remained a widow, but made her the great-grandmother of Jesus. She's also part of a divine lineage. These bold risks put you in the path of a divine lineage. If not a part of somebody else's divine lineage, my God, to create your own divine lineage. But you will never get to do that if you don't step out of your own way and learn to take those bold risks and understand that your audacity is not a problem. It is your power. Especially when you connected with something higher than you. Especially when you put some faith on that bad boy and some works on that bad boy. Audacity be out here having you doing all kinds of amazing things. Your level of living raises because you have the audacity to do so. I think about every life shift that I have gone through. I have had the audacity to believe that it was never going to stay that way. I've had the audacity to believe that it was only going to get better. And it did every single time. And sometimes I move with so much audacity that I don't even realize when I went number one on Amazon, I just knew that I was going to drop this book, put that bad boy on Amazon. I had a plan for it. I didn't know if it was going to work, but we going to do it. And that joint went number one. I tell you for sure. All right. So, confidence and audacity go really hand in hand. They are almost one of the, if you're going to have audacity, you have to have the confidence to see that audacity through. You don't start with it and then stop. See that bad boy through. What happens if it fails? And I'm getting to my shift talk points. Let me calm down. How do we start having the audacity? Because now I'm getting to my shift talk points because I'm excited. So shift talk point like right now. This is going to be a long video. I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't mean to make it like this. Okay, so I'm still excited, but I can calm down a little bit. All right. So we're gonna get to these ship talk points about how do we begin to have the audacity, and really it is being more bold and confident in that. The first thing I'm gonna say to you is, and y'all know I got my notes. Fight against the negativity. A lot of people don't do these things because there is always, but what if it fails, or what if it doesn't work out? And the issue is we tend to exaggerate those what ifs more than the possibility that this thing really could happen. The reality is there are no certainties in anything. You can do your very best to play it safe all you want to, but there are no certainties. We don't tell our kids, my daughter did not come home from spring break. She went out to Ocean City with her friends. We could have easily been like, oh, come home, stay here, don't go out there, be careful of this. I could make her afraid of the world, but I will not, because the reality is something could happen to you sitting in your own living room. We have seen reports of that. You could be doing the things you normally do on any other day that is safe, and something happened. So nothing is certain. And because nothing is certain, you have to stop thinking, oh, but what if this doesn't happen? Or what if this happens? But what if it takes off? So the first thing is fight against that negativity. We have a bias to, I already told you at the beginning, there is a bias that we have to audacity. We think it's a bad thing out the gate. What if people don't understand and I lose friends or I lose family? And it's going to hurt. I get it. Let me calm down. Let me back up. I be so rough sometimes. That's going to hurt. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. I have cried plenty of tears. But the reason why I say and is because when my tears are done crying, I don't miss not a near one of them that left. Promise you. But what I do know is I would have regretted every day not taking the step that my life needed to go. So, fight against that negativity. I wanted to make sure my camera didn't stop. Fight against that negativity. It is giving very much, what if I fail? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? Another thing, another part about that is you can have the audacity. Shift talk point number 2. You can have the audacity and be very intelligent about your audacity. Be very intelligent about the risk that you're taking. Okay? So when I say to you, I desire to live a high-end, luxurious life, I'm not going to blow. That does not mean I'm going to take my little monies and blow it on Birkin bags and Porsches and whatnot. Of course not. That doesn't, my bank account, that's not my bank account, right? And I would be homeless living in them Porsches and carrying that Birkin bag underneath the subway. I ain't going to never, I'll move in with family, but still. That's not being smart. But knowing that, but being intelligent about knowing that I'm going to make the right investments, pour into the right people, invest in the right things, invest in myself. I'll go ahead and, I think about all the times where I started this business and there are so many times when my daughter ate that I did not. And that was cool for me. Because I knew what I was taking the risk on. I knew it was going to pay off. Now I got the nerve to be eating so well, I'm trying to lose weight, okay? So be intelligent about your risks. Having audacity does not mean jumping off of the cliff with no wings, although sometimes I do be doing that, but not all the time. In all honesty, I have become very calculated about what I do. I have the audacity to ask for something because I know what's coming down the pike. So be intelligent about what it is that you're doing. And understand shift talk point number 3. What if I fail? And it's okay to fail sometimes. Get it over with. You will. Get it out the way. Just get it over with now. Because in that failure, you learn. In that failure, you have the opportunity to look at that and say, okay, what did I do wrong? And how could I fix it? And where do I make it right? Where did we drop the ball? So what if you fail? Go ahead and do it. Failure, you have to know that failure is an option. When you walk out here and you have the audacity to take these bold risks and live these bold lives, failure is an option. But an option isn't always permanent. So if you know you might, be ready to learn a lesson and be ready to do it better the next time. Period. Another part of the of another shift talk point. I'm just looking at my notes here that are in my phone. Um, you got to learn how to expand your horizons. It's really difficult to take bold risks and think boldly if you refuse to think outside of the box that you are in, or the box that you have placed yourself in, or the box that you've allowed others to place you in. You've got to go beyond that. I think that the way I left Maryland could have been handled differently for sure, but I never regretted leaving Maryland. I never regret that, because when I left Maryland, I found so many different places where I fit, where I belong, where people understood me. And I began to travel more. And now I have been to so many different places. I've been to just about every state except for maybe South Dakota and some states down south that it's just too hot for me to go up, and I just can't. I've had the pleasure of going to Cuba, Jamaica, Bahamas, Barcelona, and half my family members don't even know all the traveling that I did, right? But I did these things, and I expanded my horizons, and because I expanded my horizons, my thinking got even bigger, because I began to see more of the world. So you've got to learn to expand your horizons. If you feel like you've been placed in a box, or you're being placed in one, you got to knock that bad boy down and get out there and experience more and do more. And I did a lot of these travels. Actually, I did all of these traveling. I did all of them by myself. I took my daughter to, I did bring my daughter to the Bahamas with me. I did take my daughter to different states with me when we were in the U.S. I did bring her with me. But so she has been in other places as well. But I did a chunk of this traveling by myself. A woman traveling by herself is always somewhat of a risk. It was a risk I was willing to take, and I do not regret it, because my mind is never within one spot anymore. So learn to expand your horizons. Also, part about shift talk point. I don't know where I am. I always lose my point. I always lose my where I am. But another shift talk point is really learning, and this is a really important one. You've got to be responsible for yourself. If you're going to walk around with the audacity to think big, dream big, move big, act big, respond big, you have got to be accountable and responsible for what you do, because that will come with some mistakes. There will be sometimes you may not mean to hurt people, but you will. Like the way I left Maryland. I eloped and nobody knew anything. Nobody even knew who he was. That was not the right way to do that. But I had to be, and when I left and when things started going bad, my mother always says to me, "Why didn't you ever call home from help?" Because I had to be responsible and accountable enough to handle my own decisions. This thing happening was a direct result of the decision that I had made, and I had to handle that. So if you're going to have the audacity, I'm going to tell you like this: it pays the cost to be the boss. And I pay that bad boy every single day, as will you when you have the audacity. Don't drag anybody else into your stuff. Handle it like a woman, like a man, and move on. Okay? And then we're getting to the tail end of things. Think outside the box and question everything. Question everything. You do not ever need to go with the flow. We do not have, the audacity is not going with the flow. No matter what we feel about Kanye West right now and what he has been doing, and how he's been treating Kim, we all have our thoughts about it. I have my thoughts about it, and I don't like it. However, my man had the audacity to always ask questions in the very beginning. I looked at a little bit of the documentary. Everybody else thought this man was crazy. He knew. Again, we know some other stuff has come out. We're not talking about that right now, okay? But question things. Why does it need to be this way? I think the biggest thing that I've always had the audacity with is women being free enough to move within the unique gifting that God gave them and not being so constricted. And that has often come out, again, with how I respond to the church. I am a very big component of women do not need to wear skirts to be holy. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? pants weren't even created until way after biblical days. So what are you talking about when you say, oh, I'm getting mad, when you say that a woman should be wearing all skirts all the time? When were pants created? Mary wasn't walking around in pants. Joseph was not walking around in pants. Paul was not walking around in pants. So that just makes no sense to me. And I'm going to question it. Because for me, it was, I'm going to operate at my highest when I'm able to be myself. Jeans, heels, dope little shirt, maybe a hat, some hoop earrings. I operate the best when I'm unique, when I'm able to be my unique self. I don't even know how I got here. Okay, question things. I'm sorry, y'all. Question things. So, just because it's always been that way doesn't mean it's always supposed to be that way, or it doesn't make it right. And if people don't like when you question, they're either going to do two things. They're going to get mad at you to tell you to leave, or they get mad at you and tell you to leave. You'll find your place where you fit and belong. I already told you, it's right here. So question things. If it doesn't make sense, ask. And I find that the best leaders, honestly, the best leaders that I have loved learning under, allow me to ask those questions. All right. And I think last week I talked to you all about the daughters of Zelophehad, the 5 daughters who, when their father died, technically back in biblical time, they should not have received any inheritance because they were girls. And all 5 of them was like, no, not today. You mean to tell me we can't get our father's portion because we women? I don't think so. Give us our father's half. Question. Lastly, last shift talk point. Just do it. Have the audacity to where even if it doesn't make sense, you are just going to do it. Because you know it's going to work. How you know it's going to work? I don't know, but I know it's going to work. I'm going to do it. The more you double dutch in there, I remember playing double dutch when I first learned how to play double dutch. And I first learned how to jump in. Jumping in was so stressful for me because I felt like you had to always wait for the rope to be at the right time before you could jump in that bad boy. So I found myself just doing this, waiting for that rope. Okay, it's not the right time. Still not the right time. Okay, it's not the right time. I remember my girlfriend had taught me. She was like, Shamar, just jump in this thing and start jumping. And I did. And yo, me and double dutch was like this. I wish I could still do it. I don't know. But that's very much what we have to do when you have the audacity. Sometimes we want to sit there and wait. This is the right time. This is the right time. No, that's the right time. Sometimes you just got to go in there and do it. And know that you are empowered enough to fix any mistakes, to come back from any failures. Y'all know I hate the word failure. And to grow and become better and stronger and wiser. So, just do it. All right, so we're going to get into our Shift Talk weekly challenge because we've been here long enough. And this is my favorite topic. I keep going on and on. So we're going to get... The camera cut. I was not going back to record. But we are in the Shift Talk weekly challenge. And the Shift Talk weekly challenge is, I do not want you to ask to take, I don't want to ask you to take those big risks. Well, actually, if you're watching this and there is something that you have, I got my audacity to want to do this thing, and you know what's gonna, and you're like right there, and you need to take that step. I want to encourage you to do it. Be smart, be healthy, be wise, but go for these things that you know you deserve and want. And if this still makes your palms sweat, girl, audacity, I mean, you got your audacity, I understand, you bold with it, but it still makes me nervous, and that's okay. Start small. For some of you, you may need to have the audacity to say no more this week. For some of you, you may have the audacity to love a little bit harder this week. For some of you, you may need to have the audacity to truly put yourself first and take care of yourself before you take care of others. For some of you, you may have the audacity, you may need to have the audacity to start the table of contents for your book. Or just sit down and start writing. For some of you, you may have the audacity to take those small steps, and that's okay. And I want to encourage you to do that. One of my favorite stories is from a girlfriend of mine. Her name is Natalie Louise. In her first book, which is an amazing book, she said that she gave this amazing testimony of not having a computer, so she wrote the book out by hand while basically living somewhere that, you know, was not of the best conditions, but she wrote the book out by hand and then published it. By all means, she could have just stopped. The circumstances didn't look right. She didn't have what she needed. But I'm going to have the audacity to do this anyway and publish this book that I wrote out by hand. So, start small, build on that, and really understand that especially when you keep God in the mix, man, come on now. God specializes in having the audacity. Trust me, I know. All right, so lastly, I will say to you, next week we will not be having a Shift Talk Sunday. Starting on Monday the 28th, I'll be having a lot of dental work done. I start my dental work, and it's going to be the beginning phases of it. It's going to be really heavy. I am having, gradually, I'm having all of my teeth replaced. So it's an interesting experience, the whole experience of like implants, veneers, and whatnot. Unless you're a celebrity, you could do it all at once. It is not. It's a very long process. So tomorrow, it's because it's Sunday. But on the 28th, I will start that, and I am going to be. It's going to take at least 5 to 10 days for my mouth to heal, was what they're going to do. So we will not have a Shift Talk Sunday next Sunday, because I'm more than likely going to be laid up with ice packs on my face and not really being able to talk with you all. But the Sunday after that, we should be Gucci. I got to go back for my next appointment where more are being replaced, but I should be okay to go forward. So we're only taking one week off. And so I love you. Y'all keep me in prayer. Fixing what I need to fix that has been like a little bit of a insecurity for me. It was exciting. Now it's nerve-wracking. Now it's a mental thing. But I'm going to press forward because I'm excited about having a. All right, when the camera keeps cutting, clearly God is telling me to end this thing. So I'm excited about my new journey. I will keep you all updated. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms, because though we won't be here next Sunday, I will be posting updates of my progress and how I'm doing on social media. And it's Shamar Latanya across the board. A lot of you have started requesting me on TikTok. There are about 100 requests sitting there. I will get to TikTok. I feel more comfortable getting to TikTok once all of my work once a big chunk of my work is completed by the end of April, early May. So, but I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and you all have a fabulous week. Do not forget to walk in your audacity.